Hi everyone, welcome to Startup Go again. And today I'm going to talk about a very important thing that most of the founders will have to face a lot of the times on their entrepreneurial journey, which is about pitching to investors or in different competitions to raise some funds for your startup. And this is where a lot of the startups and founders go wrong. Maybe they have a great product, or they have a great idea, but they're not being able to pitch it to the right person in the right way. And right way is more important than pitching it to the right person. What I mean by that is that maybe you can pitch to different competitions, and that might not weigh as much as you pitching it to an investor where you can get millions of dollars in funding. So that's why today I'm bringing it to you the only 10 slides you need in a pitch. This is by Guy Kawasaki. He has been an angel investor in Silicon Valley, and he has done podcasts as well. If you search about him, you'll find a lot more about. But today, I have optimized this a little bit and made it in a way that is working in current world, especially now with a lot of AI startups coming into play, and also the whole system changed a little bit. So I have focused more onto the startup side of how a startup can pitch to investors or in different competitions, and I'm going to talk about that today so that from now on you can follow this structure to pitch anywhere and get the best result. So the purpose of this pitch should be to stimulate interest, not to cover like every aspect of your startup and like kind of burden with your burden the audience and whoever listening with like a lot of buzzwords. You'll have to make them submit to your idea. Like they should be really enthusiastic. They should really understand it in a simple way. So your objective is to generate enough interest to get a second meeting with that investor or from that competitions or wherever you're pitching. Thus, the recommended number of slides for a pitch is 10. This impossibly low number forces you to concentrate on the absolute essentials. You can add a few more, but you should never exceed 15 slides. The more slides you need, the less compelling your idea will get. So this is a really crucial point where you need to focus on, and from there on, you can build up your later stages. So the first slide comes is your title, where you provide your startup name, if you have a tagline, and if you're presenting your name, email, and cell number, which can work as a contact info if they later on follow up, if they want to follow up later on with your idea or with your startup. So this is going to be a really simple page. Just provide maybe a logo or picture of your startup and the name and just a tagline. You don't have to provide your pictures or anything. Just provide a name, email, and cell number of yours. And then this page comes where you would show your founding or management team. So if you have, let's say, two, three co-founders, if it's just only you, you can also just show that with a picture and just like name and some maybe accolades, maybe where they're studying or what experience they had. Some people use like ex Google, ex Meta, like their to show their previous experience. So you can talk about that shortly, but you don't have to like describe all of the expertise in words. You just provide their name and just their position in the team, and maybe just one single line, like maybe he's studying at Duke University, like so Duke University class of 27, 29, or ex Google, ex Meta, something like that. And you can talk about a little bit more experience if you want, but if you have really short time limit, you don't have to go in that direction as well. And you can also include your board of directors and board of advisors, as well as your major investors if you already have some. If you're in the early stage of your startup with just a team, you don't have to mention this thing. But if you have already raised funds and if you have board of directors, then you can just go and mention that as well in that page or in a separate page as well. But for them, you don't have to mention their accolades and everything, just name and their company or their venture capital firm name. That's enough. So if it's okay if you have like less than a perfect team, Just keep that in mind. If your team was perfect, you wouldn't be pitching. That's the whole point of pitching to investors, because you have a compact team now and you want to expand. That's why you were trying to get funds so that you can get the best talents and just like launch, like take your startup to the next step and improve more and more, have more growth. So that's why don't be too concerned of like, okay, we are if we're the right fit or not. Obviously, you're gonna show your strength, how you are as a team and why you're the right person, but don't think too much about like whether you were the right person or not. So let's talk about the next slide. So the third slide should be about problem or opportunity and opportunities. You can also break this slide into two parts. I will talk about that later. So at first you'll have to show the problem that you're solving, because every startup starts from a core problem. You're not just coming up with an idea of yourself, like, okay, this might be a great idea, this might have a big value, I might earn a lot of money. That's not how a startups are created. You find a problem, and then you describe the pain that you're alleviating or the pleasure that you're providing to the people who have this problem. The goal is to change the pulse rate of the investors. This is where you need to make them excited. If you have a problem that we face in a day-to-day life, everyone will feel that. Or if you have a specific niche market, there will be some people who will feel, okay, yeah, this is a real problem. And if you have some evidence, like, okay, I have found this post from this group of people in Reddit, or I have found this here or there, if you just show some real examples of people facing this problem, then that can also trigger their brain into like thinking, okay, yeah, this is a real life problem and there needs to be existing solutions. Um, and then you can talk about the opportunity, the problem, and then how you're going to solve it. What are the things that you're doing to solve it? So that's where comes the value proposition. That's why I said you can break that slide in two part. Like one slide is about problem, and the other one is about opportunity or value proposition, where you talk about the value of the pain you alleviate or the value of the pleasure you provide. It's like why you are the right person, or why now is the right time to do this thing, to solve this problem. Uh, so then you can move into like the underlying magic of like, what is that thing that makes you unique? And how or what are the things that's gonna kind of determine the success of your startup, why people would love that. Like you can describe your technology, the secret sauce or magic behind your product. The less text and the more diagrams, schematics, and flowcharts, the better it will be in this slide. You don't have to like put a bunch of text. That's a lot mistake that I see a lot of founders are making when they're pitching. They try to provide the whole business plan and everything, every description of idea or like terms. Like you don't have to do that. You just like, because visual effects talk much better than just like a bunch of lines of text. If you have a prototype or a demo, this is also the right time to transition to it. So once you show like what is the secret sauce in technology, and then you can move into like, hey, we have this MVP or we have this product that we already built, and you can just share your screen. You can show how that works. The key here is to just show the basic features of the thing that you already talked about. You don't have to show the back end of like, okay, this is the code that we used. We use React or JavaScript, or a bunch of this stuff to make this. We have this algorithm. Look at our code, what we did to build this algorithm. You don't have to do that. That comes later if some investors want to see how we build it. And because a lot of the times nowadays people are doing vibe coding, like they're building with AI platforms. But even if you're building with AI platforms, most of the platforms nowadays provide you the code, so you can just store that code in GitHub and then try to run that later on. Um, so you don't have to go in that direction. You just show the front end of like how it looks, how it works, the functionality, the core features. That's it. No need to spend more than 30 seconds or 1 minute into that. 1 minute is enough to show how the whole things work. And if you show the demo, you don't have to again like talk about, okay, this feature will do this feature will do that. You'll talk about those things while you're presenting your demo, because a picture is worth 100 words, but a prototype is worth 1,000 pictures. So Having a prototype is always an advantage when you're pitching. But that doesn't mean if you just have an idea that wouldn't work. Then comes the slide of business model. This is where you talk about who has your money now, and how you're going to get that into your pocket, how you're going to provide the investors a value, how they're going to earn back the money. So here you can talk about, okay, if you have a freemium model, or if you have a subscription based, or maybe contract based, how are you going to earn money from your startup? If it's a product based, how you're going to sell the product, and how much would be the cost, and how much can be the profit margin. That's what you talk about here in the business model. And go to market plan. Before going to go to market plan, you can show them market opportunity as well, of like what is the TAM or TOM of the market, what percentage of the market you can cover. But you don't also have to go into that part. Like if you talk about like a lot in that category, then it might not be that compelling. I'll talk about that later in the upcoming slides as well. So how the go to market plan works is that you'll have to explain how you're going to reach your customer without breaking the bank. A lot of the times, founders can show the breakdown of their budget. Okay, we're gonna spend like 50% for the marketing, or like 30%. Like you don't have to spend most of the money into marketing. Nowadays, it's really easy to go to market. You can just do some content and everything. And if your product is really good and if you're solving a problem, it it might take some time for people to acknowledge and see the value in it. But if it's really good enough, and if you're iterating and improving the user experience, it will get to a point where you don't have to do a lot of marketing. If you see the big companies like OpenAI, Nvidia, Google, Microsoft, like even when they started, they didn't have to do marketing. They didn't have to put ads. But obviously, it depends on different markets and different strategies. But the key thing is like go viral. This thing is total bullshit. I mean, nowadays there's a little bit of dynamic change, but you don't have to be the startup Cluely. Okay, not every startup needs to be making a lot of funny content or engaging content like Cluely to like go viral to like get the customer acquisition right. You can just do a simple demo, try to post content every week, just like post some updates. That's enough. And if you're just kind of spreading it into like different platforms, like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, you're good to go, as long as you're focusing on solving the core problem. I mean, that's what you can talk about here, like how you're gonna go to the market and reach your customer, and it should be very short. Then comes comparative analysis. This is really crucial. Like you'll have to provide a complete view of the competitive landscape. If you just say, okay, we are the first one in the market, no one else in the market is doing it, there might be some problem in that. Because why someone else haven't tried it yet, or like if they tried, what's the result? Maybe there are not enough customers in this market, or maybe there are not enough opportunity in this market. That's why there are not enough competitors. That's how the investors might think about. So if you are going into market, obviously there are some sort of like direct or indirect competitors. So it's better to mention like two, three of those competitors who are like directly associated with the problem that you are solving. And you also have to show like your competitive advantage of like what are the thing that you're doing better than them. And you shouldn't like again put a lot of text and describe all of the things. Just some key points that really matters. And saying that you're more passionate than other competitors is utterly meaningless. You cannot say, okay, we have the best team, we have experience in this one. That doesn't work. Those companies, if they have been doing business for the past even 2, 3, 5 years, they have more money than you at this point. So they can add new features that you're talking about. Maybe they can hire some new people if they know the market advantage there. So you'll have to focus on the key points that can set you apart. And like you can talk about here also why you are the right team to do that thing. Don't talk about too much of like, as I mentioned, you're more passionate, you have better competitive advantage in a way. like that others can catch up. Obviously, you can talk about, okay, we have a better team for now. We are solving this core problem. We had this as a personal experience, or we have gone out and talked with the customer, and we have already built this kind of solution, which will take a lot of time and research and all the other things to build, like something like that, but not too much BS. Okay. Um, yeah, and then the next step comes about your financial projections and key metrics of like you can provide a 3-year forecast containing not only dollars but key metrics such as the number of customers and conversion rate. Here you can do a bottom up, not top down analysis. You can look at it how it works. It's really simple. If you just show, okay, within the next 2 years, like maybe in 2030, I'll reach to this amount of revenue, ARR, or maybe in just next 6 months, we will be able to have maybe 50,000 customers or users, something like that. And you can also show like what's your projected monthly growth rate, like maybe 20%, 30%, all the things. And it should also be really clear cut. Maybe you can just put a table and just show that year by year. Same goes for competitors. You can just put a table and show what are the competitors, uh, uh, what they're providing in one single box, and or where you are different. You can also show that analysis there. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a lot of text. Next comes the current status, accomplishments to date, timeline, and use of funds. Here you'll explain where your product stands currently, what the next version would look like, and how you use the money that you are trying to raise to for the further development of your startup. Here, kind of most of the startups, what that does is like providing a pie chart and show, okay, maybe 20% will go here, 30% will go here, 50% will go in R&D, like something like that. You can just put a check pie chart, and if they ask more questions later on in the follow-up session, then you can talk about that more. So this is how this page would look like, and the whole slides would look like. You should be really careful of what are the things you put, and even if you're putting demo, it shouldn't exceed more than 15 slides in total. Yeah, and you can always put your key advantages and everything uh, in the slides where you talk about your like business model or your underlying magic, especially here where when you're talking about your demo. So this is the overview of how the whole thing should work when you're pitching to investors or pitching in competitions. Here is a word of liquidity from Kawasaki. I'll just talk about that as well. Is that no entrepreneur knows when, how, or if he or she will achieve liquidity. And yet, many include a slide that says there are two liquidity options, an IPO or an acquisition. So uh, you don't have to show the investors what would be the exit strategy. If they're asking about it, maybe they are also clueless. Especially most of the really smart investors, they don't really ask about that. But if you answer with these two options, you have a lot in common, which is you are also clueless. So you don't have to talk about that. You can, if they really ask about it, you can say maybe we haven't thought about the exit plan for now. Like you don't have to specifically mention, okay, we're gonna go into IP or acquisition. You can mention we haven't thought about that yet, but you can be completely sure that you're gonna get 10 times or 100 times value back the money that you're investing, and that's how much we are committed. You can just talk about that. That kind of can show more of your like passion for this project. And talking about passion when you're pitching, uh, the whole passion should come out from your whole team. You don't have to say, "Oh, we're passionate, we're hardworking people." The audience, the investors will be able to sense like whether you're passionate or not. And take it slow when you're like pitching. Say the words correctly and don't use too much buzzwords like AI, neural networks, machine learning. Nowadays, a lot of people are using those words. You don't have to mention, okay, we are a AI startup that does like farming. We are AI startup that does moon lawyering. I'm like you don't have to include AI in everything. If you're including, uh, try to show the solution that includes AI. You don't have to always say, okay, this is AI, this is machine learning. Oh, this is we're gonna do it with this and that AI agent. If you have that kind of thing, obviously, most of the startups nowadays have show how that works, and or how that will work instead of just talking about it. So try to avoid as many buzzwords as possible. And if you're using some uh, terms that might not be that much familiar with the audience, if you're pitching it to an investor in a closed room, that's a different thing. They might have more idea, but still, if you have that kind of terms, try to explain that. Okay, what is this in just one line? So this is it. I hope you, all of you who have been watching, especially you, if you're thinking about starting a startup and pitching it to the investors, or if you have done before, now you know where you have done right or wrong. So I want you to go and do the analysis of how you're gonna make your pitch better now, and day by day you can improve. When you start pitching, it will get improved a lot. The skill of public speaking and presenting, you can acquire that step by step. It's not like magic, and then the first time you go, you'll crack it. You will need a lot of practice. You'll need a lot of rejection to learn from it. And that's completely okay. That's the life of a founder. You'll have to go through different stages. You'll have to build, you'll have to present, you'll have to deal with your customers. So just if you're going into this entrepreneurial journey, enjoy the journey and the ups and downs that you have, and you'll have an amazing future ahead if you are persistent enough to like pursue your entrepreneurial career, and you're always improving, you're growing with your whole team, with your startup, and being a better version of yourself and creating an identity. So I hope you the best of luck, and I hope it helped well. If you want to know more about it, feel free to let me know in the comments or in messages, and I will try to get back if possible. And also later, I will try to provide more videos that can help you as a founder, because that's the whole goal of this whole channel. If you are starting out and if you don't have any idea, this is the place where we can take you step by step of where you can go. So thank you again, and I hope you best of the luck. See you again in the next video.